Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio, the Friday Inspirational Talk program. It's always a pleasure being here with you and with our friends from the Spirit Society of Virginia. And today, a much special friend from the Spirit Society of Richmond, our dear Sheyne Martin. And friends, before we start our presentation, as usual, we read a short message. Why do we read this message? To help us align ourselves, settle down, focus on this moment. This is a precious time where we spend together and we allow the good spirits to visit our homes. What do we need to do? We need to allow it to happen. So let us forget just for a little bit about our daily chores and things we have to do, possibly dinner and our families. And let us hear this message that Camila is going to bring to us and help us start connecting. All right, dear Camila. Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Paloma. Good evening, friends. Tonight, we are reading a message from the book, Our Daily Bread, by the Spirit André Luiz, psychographed by Chico Xavier, chapter 7, and it's called The Seed. In the workings of nature, we see the seed as taking on the sacred role of priestess of the Creator in life. The glorious heiress of divine power, it participates in the evolution of the world and silently transmits to the individual its sublime lesson, marked with infinite significance. It wisely exemplifies the need for starting points. Consciousness, work demands proper places and appropriate times. There are restless and insatiable persons who have not yet understood the symbol of the seed. They expect great accomplishments from one day to the next. They impose tyrannical measures through the force of orders or weapons, or else they try to cheat the profound laws of nature. They accelerate the processes of their ambitions, establish temporary domination, boast of fictitious conquests, exalt themselves, and then fall, without any sanctifying accomplishment for themselves or for others. They have not been able to grasp the lesson of the tiny seed, which provides wheat for their daily bread and guarantees them life in every arena of the planetary struggle. Knowing how to begin is a very important skill. In our repetitive effort, we must not lose sight of the smallest possibilities. A gesture, a conversation, an hour of our time, or a word can represent glorious seeds for immortal accomplishments. It is crucial, therefore, never to disregard them. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Camila. Let us now pray together, friends. Dear beloved Master Jesus, Spirit Mentors of Kardec Radio, the Spirit Society of Virginia, and the Spirit Society of Richmond, we call on you today for inspiration during this presentation, for helping us to keep our minds and hearts open to the teachings. And we pray that we are able to receive necessary healing treatments in our homes. We pray that your doctors and nurses find in ourselves helpful assistance, that our loved ones are able to also receive this treatment, in our homes cleansed and protected. We also pray, Divine Master, to all the people in the world that are facing very difficult times. We pray for people that find themselves in war zones. We pray for people that find themselves in natural disasters. We pray for people that are sick and in hospitals. We thank you, Divine Master, for allowing us to be here today and teaming up with you. And we ask for your protection and your inspiration at this very moment. And so be it. Dear friends, today, Sheyne Martin is going to bring to us a beautiful study she's been doing about calmness, bringing this directly from Emmanuel. We don't want to discuss much because we want to invite Sheyne here to start this presentation that we've been waiting for so much. Welcome, Sheyne.
Thank you, Paloma and SSVA. What a blessing to be together again. From distantly, physically distanced, but spiritually connected. So thank you guys for the opportunity. And we're going to highlight today something that we all are in need of, which is calmness. The book Calmness by Emmanuel was published in 1978. And Emmanuel, in his wisdom and through the blessed mediumship of Francisco Cândido Xavier, is going to bring to us practical tips that we need today in this world in transition. On Thursday mornings, if you would like to join us at 8 a.m., I'll present short studies so that we can start our days in connection with these teachings that can bring to you and I the basis for spiritual improvement. And then when we are calmer also, then we are more able to co-create with God in goodness, not only in our spiritual, individual, unique path towards divine life and the divine celestial worlds, but also being an instrument of God in spreading that calmness, that serenity in our daily lives, in the planet we find ourselves today. So the reason you and I are together is not coincidental. Yet we are actually together because we are meant to learn and grow together as dictated by the law of society. So when you learn to be calm, when you learn what calmness means and how you can be calm and tranquil in your life, you can spread the good news more easily. You have an opportunity to engage with others in a more mindful manner so that you can transfer to them this beautiful sense that today is a day that we start looking at ourselves in terms of self-awareness and we commit to improve evermore. So why did you come here today? Why were you curious about calmness? If you want an in-depth study of each one of the chapters, as I said, I will be discussing them every Thursday morning. But today I'm going to give you highlights of the book that starts with why I approached Vanessa Saloni, the editor and founder of Kardec Radio, for us to team up on this journey. The inspiration for starting the study of the book Calmness comes actually from Andrea Luiz on the Spiritist Conduct Study, which you can find in each one of the issues of the Spiritist magazine. There is a message from this book. But in this book, there is the Spiritist conduct when faced grave facts or grave moments, which exactly where we are right now. Those grave moments can be the pandemic we are living on the earth. It can be a natural disaster. It can be a personal crisis. So yes, there is a manual for you and I. There, Andrea Luiz says, at no time do you get carried away by disorderly emotions in the face of events that are affecting public opinion, such as crimes, catastrophes, epidemics, geological phenomena, and other events. To calm down is to calm others. So when we calm ourselves, we are able to bring to others the same characteristics as the seed that Camila read to us before. Because with patience and persistence, the seed can grow and can fulfill its divine potentialities, doing what it's supposed to do as a seed, to grow and bear fruits. As Saul says, we're all connected. So when we calm down, you can spread around this moment of serenity to others. And also, in the book Mechanisms of Mediumship, the law of mental field dictates that you are going to assimilate what you attract to yourself, what you attune with, depending on which translation you use. So if you are attracting and emitting calmness, then you can attract the same like. You're only going to be an instrument of Christ in spreading the good news, spreading his calm and serene demeanor, but then you can attract to yourself like-minded folks, then you can all augment the actions of one another in this earth. In the book preface by the Spirit Emmanuel, he says, agitations on earth, transition times, impacts of progress, and generational conflicts. Here is exactly what he told us in 1978. We are in this transition time where we are going from a world of trials and expiations to a world of regeneration, where we are more aware and attuned with the law of progress that dictates that we are going to go through an improvement, an overall improvement. And as each and every one of us as spirits grow, then we can, as a society, as the collective, grow and improve as well. This is where we are currently nowadays having this battle between the old and the new concepts, new ideas. What is current today, what is acceptable today, is not what it was acceptable and current 2,000 years ago. So we are always evolving, and the good reigns over evil, which is just a lack of good or ignorance in Spiritism. And he would say, these are the reasons given by many friends for which we will address you some pages on serenity and security. Since life does not allow us to stop, neither in the physical plane nor in the beyond. So with security and serenity, then we have a touchstone. Then every day of my life, I can start right, and then I can build upon. And it doesn't look like leaps and bounds. As the seed, the message explained earlier, it's a gradual improvement. Today you do well, tomorrow maybe we don't, and then we commit and we try again and again and again. And another thing I want you to notice here, and then he says, life does not allow us to stop, even though we are going through agitation, transition times, difficulty understanding one another, feeling the impacts of progress when we have new technological advantages or medical advantages. We have that shock in our system. Life doesn't stop. So it's up to us to learn how to improve and have that security and serenity at the base so that we can grow together. Neither in the physical plane nor in the beyond. So the spirits that work with Christ, who is leading the spiritual development of the planet and all of us, are working. So should we. And that's what we are doing tonight. You could be doing so many things on a Friday night, but you chose to tune in today. So we want to think about, this is work. The law of work is dictates that work is any useful activity. And when you work on yourself, then you can share with others the goodness, and then you can be a better co-creator with God. So he says evolution really does not stop. Suffering or learning, creating or recreating, improving or renewing, making mistakes or readjusting, every creature will always continue in pursuit of the supreme goals of divine wisdom. So, dear friend, which one are you today? Are you the one suffering or learning? Are you the one who is improving and renewing yourself? Or we are in the phase of making mistakes? And if we do, we readjust as well. And while we're here tonight, I'm going to explain to you, I'm going to bring to you some aspect of some of the messages I've had the pleasure and an honor to study with you in the past. I think we're being about 15 weeks together so far. And I'm going to invite you to self-evaluation, self-awareness. And I'm not going to, at sometimes you're going to see that when we suffer, when we're making mistakes, guilt and shame can set up. And that's not the goal of today. The goal of the good spirits, they're concise, they're kind. In the same way that Emmanuel is in this book, the structure is very similar. He will describe a situation, give us examples, and then give us ideas on what to do. The goal is to not allow you to feel guilty or feel like you haven't reached that step. The goal is to encourage you to see the potential within you, within the divine nature, so that you can reach that state of calmness. He also continues in the prophet, says, no matter where in the universe the creature is located, that's you, the spirit needs peace in itself in order to build its own path to other paths of elevation. So wherever we are, either if we are in the comfort of our homes in Virginia, where we are broadcasting this from, or we are across the globe suffering the effects of some social inequity, of wars, if we feel alone and abandoned, we still need peace. And peace, as we're going to see, there's a few messages about peace on this book as well, because we want to build upon the moments of peace. We can't really help others if we are in turmoil. It's very difficult to do that. Observe someone trying to help others when they're angry, when they're anxious. It's difficult. So we can be a better instrument of the good spirits when we are in peace. He says, for this reason, this book was born, which we deliver to the friendly reader, wishing him or her harmony and trust in God, and building the happiness we aspire to achieve. So that's why Emmanuel is bringing this to us. And at the end of the preface, he dedicates this to all of us, friendly readers. So I want you to feel embraced by the love and kindness of Emmanuel as I expose to you, bring to you his words. And these are some invitations for us to learn about what we are here to do. The blessings of the Spiritist doctrine is that you and I can go through these moments of agitation, transition, difficulties, and impacts, knowing that those are experiences where we learn and we grow and that are necessary for our evolution. And there's always a path of goodness, a path of love versus the path of pain. But sometimes in our stubbornness, we are unable to see that the path of love is the path that takes me closer to God. And then pain comes to readjust us to the right path, which is another book by Emmanuel that I also discuss on a different day. But it's all within. The good spirits build on themselves. The good spirits are concise and kind. And that's how I want you to envision yourself being from now on as we try to. First of all, I chose some messages that reflect what you and I do on a daily basis. So right now I've been speaking for a while. So message 3 is titled Speak Peacefully. He says it's fair to remember the human voice is full of vibrations. Therefore, strive to avoid untimely and inopportune screams, A loud exclamation is equivalent to a mental stone. So do the following for me if you have a moment. If you put your hand on your throat, that's where your vocal cords are. So if you say anything to yourself, you're going to feel that your neck is going to vibrate. So what is your vibrational tone in your words today? What were the words that you have pronounced today? And what is the tone of voice? What is the comments you're making? How loud you're speaking? He's saying, strive to avoid untimely and opportune screams. When we scream, it's very difficult to understand. We may lose our calm. And he says, a loud exclamation is equivalent to a mental stone. It's like you're stoning someone. We know that thought is life, that we can actually co-create with our thoughts. So when we're speaking, when we're materializing some idea, we need to be very mindful of how we do. He says, unprofitable discussion is a waste of strength. We have so many days left in our reincarnatory plan, and maybe we can get some moratoriums at the end. Why would we waste our strength, our vitality in unprofitable discussions? And how many times today people are doing this? Maybe with their mental discussions with others. Maybe they are sharing things that are not appropriate. Maybe they're engaging in online discussions that are not profitable. They're a waste of their strength. As verbal noise just complicates. Have you ever tried to resolve a situation where everybody's talking at the same time? Loudly? Not a good outcome. He says, think about it. Your voice is your sound portrait. So what is the picture of you today? Throughout the day, since the moment you woke up until now, what do you look like? If we were to take a portrait of your vibrational tones, your voice, have you spoken peacefully, or have we engaged in warlike speech? So there's a moment, I don't want you to feel guilty if you did. I just wanted to recognize the potential for co-creation, even with your voice. Message 4, he says, in moments of crisis, he will say, think of the reserves of strengths that lie within you and accept difficulties as they arise. Now, we all know that we derive strength from the many activities we can do and the connection with God and its divine providence. So divine providence is radiating out all the resources that we need to exist. And those are the reserves of strength that you can have. So if you are in a moment of crisis and difficulties, yes, it's easier said than done. He says, accept them. It may not be pleasant, but it gives you a certainty that we are all here to learn something. And this experience can be fruitful to all. He says, do not abandon your possibility to work and remain faithful to your own duties. Take on the responsibilities that concern you. So here is a balance. When we are in a moment of crisis, we see the difficulties. It's very easy for us to stop and feel sorry for ourselves and say, okay, I just have to accept and be here suffering. He's saying, no, it goes hand in hand with work. But when you work, when you have your duties, only you can do what you came here to do on this earth. Only you have the mission that God gave you in this universe. So you have things to do. When we work, when we take on the responsibilities that are within my realm, my circle of influence, then I can balance out the difficulties. Because when we work, and again, work within the realm of the love work by Allan Kardec, when useful activities, volunteering, even when we go to work, to our jobs, we can work for a paycheck, or we can actually be mindful and co-creating with God and goodness in our workplaces. Then you are balancing out your difficulties, because when we work, we build relationships in this realm, in other realms. When we help others, we are building those relationships. The beings in the spiritual realm who love us see us helping others and working. Then they come help us. And the ones who are being helped, their friends in the spiritual realm and in the physical realm can come and help as well. So when we are in need, we can also remember to pray and get strength and then move on as well. The next part of this is about remembering that our ears can be transformed into extinguishers of evil whenever evil seek us. That's the most important. Remember, I started talking about speaking peacefully. very biased because I'm the one speaking to you right now. The other thing is what we hear. So what were the things that you've heard today? And what did you do with it? Because it's okay if people come to us and they share something that is not appropriate or even outright evil, ignorant in a sense. But the key is, can I be the one who extinguished that evil? Meaning, I'm not going to turn around and tell my colleague. I'm not going to call my family member, see who said what about you. I'm actually going to say, okay, I understand you are upset. But that's not really a good way to talk about people. I have my experience is positive with that person. So we can be that extinguisher of evil, because sometimes we want to build connection. Then we share something that someone told us to make a connection with another person. Now we are propagating that evil in our social medias, in our WhatsApps, Facebook, Instagrams, Twitters of life. Those are the tools you and I use today. We write things, we say things, we think things. And that's a way also to extinguish evil. So let's hope that we stopped it and not spread it. He says, serenity is not a spiritual acquisition that takes place in a touch of magic, but through the often hard and rough work of patience in action. It is when people come to tell you something, even about someone you love, you can put that patience to work, where you're able to calm yourself down and not engage, stop it, breathe. And one of the best things you can do is mindfully breathing. You have an inbuilt nervous system that you help build throughout the billions of years of evolution, as André Luiz describes in the book Evolution in Two Worlds, where your central nervous system, you can calm yourself down. Just by breathing, slowing your breathing, allows your body to reset. And then we don't have to be constantly in need of speaking. And when we speak, now we speak peacefully. Or we try to bring that serenity to where we are. And most important, he says, it's not a spiritual acquisition that takes place as magic. It's not like you watch this talk today, or I give you this information today. Tomorrow I'll wake up like in the divine realm. And that's not what it is. It's really daily actions, small actions. So when we are trustworthy in the small, more will be given us to do. If we can't handle the relationships we have within the realms where we are, how can we pray that God give us more? When I can't maintain peace with my colleagues, my family members, how can I be talking about those who have been given the responsibility of taking care of cities and societies? So it's really daily patience in action, where I am mindful and I'm careful and I really transmit that calmness to people. Trimming irritations. Who isn't irritated these days for many different reasons? And he says here, if you still have the habit of making yourself angry, and if you already recognize the losses that causes, you can clearly eradicate it, tending to your own renewal. Let's make sure I bring my microphone a lot. So do we have a habit of making ourselves angry for anything? We see a post, someone looks at us funny, we think it's about us, or someone cuts us in traffic, we're late, our coffee spills, and we tend to get angry. Anger by itself is not a negative emotion per se, but it can be a trigger. He says, when you are angry, you lose your ability to think rationally, you lose the ability to communicate with others effectively, and you lose potentially the connection of the good spirits who would love for us to not be angry. And then you may connect with other angry ones who then the things escalate as we go. So what do you do if you find yourself angry? He says, start daily activities thinking about God and thanking God for your possibilities of doing good. So when we first learn about Spiritism, we start by reading the 5 books of Kardec. And if you go to the Gospel according to Spiritism, the last 2 chapters are all about prayer. And there the good spirits will tell us that the first responsibility of the incarnate spirit on the earth when we wake up from the sleep cycle, which means we were spending some time in the spiritual realm, is to pray. That also is dictated by the law of worship. The law of worship dictates we have to pray. So when we start our daily activities, and the first thing I think about when I open my eyes is thank God for today, because you could have discarnated overnight and you're here again. You're given one more opportunity to not be angry, to trim your irritation, to speak peacefully, to use your ears as extinguishers of evil. And if it was easier, we wouldn't be the ones watching here or talking about it. We would be the ones dictating the books to the mediums that are coming, because there are many mediums who might be dictating messages right now. So that's why we keep repeating things, so we get assimilated, just as if you were learning to read and write. When you're learning to read and write, what do you have to do? You have to repeat until it becomes something you can do without conscious thought. When you're driving, so on and so forth. So patience and calmness is a skill, and a skill that we hope in the planet of regeneration, even during the times of transition, that will be taught to you and I, or to our descendants when they are reincarnated and they are going through school. School will be more than just teaching skills. And if the families are unable to teach us those skills, what to do when we are angry, to pray for God for help, then we can grow spiritually much more. We won't have to wait to be older and be learning this later in life. We will learn this when we are younger. He says, let us not forget, in the most complicated circumstances, life requires us to practice the practice of good, and that therefore in any occasion for each one of us, it's a time for understanding and blessing, assisting and serving. So when we are in difficult situations, that's the hardest to be able to understand. If someone irritated you, it's very difficult to look back and see, well, if I had irritated someone, how would I want it? And people sometimes irritate us and make us angry. We don't even know. That person who cut you in traffic is unaware that you got angry at him or her. Hopefully they didn't do it on purpose. Then you say, so if I caused anger and irritation on someone, I would like to be forgiven and understood, because maybe I am going through a difficult time in my life. Then I bless them, understand them, and maybe I even assist and serve. If someone you can reach out and talk to, maybe you ask them, hey, I noticed you're not doing well today. How can I help? And you're going to learn a whole host of things that may be happening in that person's life that you were not aware, and we tend to think it's about us. So we get irritated, we don't communicate, and that is not very fruitful to all of us. Another thing that plagues us that Emmanuel can help us with in the book Calmness is bad mood. Sometimes we will have bad mood. And he says, if bad mood involves you in a form of suffocating shadow, try to examine its origins so that you can liquidate it as soon as possible. So here is a beautiful message. When we are in a bad mood, you have this shadow around you, this vibratory suffocation that you are unable to be the potential that you can be. So he will tell us, nobody knows until today where the bad mood ends and illness begins. That was in 1978, November 7th, 1978. To illness, science of today knows, medicine of today knows, when we are under constant stress, when our mental patterns are negative, you can develop illnesses. That's also true in the book. If you go to the book Thought and Life by Emmanuel, the book Evolution into Worlds, there's a lot of different spiritist literature on this, but now science is catching up 40 some years later. So we can be in a bad, because calmness, less calm, and you'll be less able to help others in this way. And he says, if you want to get rid of the destructive mask, cultivate patience and learn to smile. So if you find yourself across someone, because it's very easy for us to visualize that we are encountering someone in bad mood, finding someone who is irritated, finding someone who is angry. But I'm inviting you to ask yourself, when was the last time I was in a bad mood? Was it a good experience, how did I feel after that? Because people dismiss the importance of speaking well. And I don't say speaking well eloquently in a knowingly kind of way, an academic kind of way. I speaking well, choosing the right tone of voice, choosing when to speak, because silence is also important. People dismiss hearing something about someone that they haven't vetted as true and passing it along. People dismiss it's just a post on Facebook. Well, people dismiss, oh, I'm in a bad mood today. Like, you really need to think about this. It says nobody knows where the bad mood ends and the illness begins. So daily, that accumulation of suffocating shadows can cause you to be sick. And then we don't know why we are one of the wealthiest places on the earth, one of the most advanced healthcare systems. We're still the sickest of all, because we are not changing from the inside out. Of course, there's external circumstances and social determinants of health, as scientists will tell you, and there's also food, nutrition, exercise, good reading. People dismiss that watching something violent on TV is going to affect them, but it will. Go watch something, don't go watch it. Remember the last time you watched something negative, and how did it affect you? What kind of dreams you had? Where were you spending time? Because we know the dreams are our memories from the time we spend in the spiritual realm when we sleep. So we dismiss a lot of this, but it's in that daily patience in action, where I'm mindful what I do, and then I sow the seed of today of patience. Then I can reap the benefits of calmness later. Relationships. Who doesn't have troubles with relationships? It says, if difficult trials visit you in your relationship with others, do not allow yourself to reheat the heartbreak. Meaning, don't stay focused on what happened. It's the video freezing. Can you guys just let me know if I'm still live? So it's sharing that the video isn't working. Are you okay? Cool. Friends, we are live. I'm sorry. For my systems that I have checked, everything seems fine. But they will let me know. Cool. That's good. It might be yours. So I'm sorry about that. So when we are in relationship with others, we have an opportunity to interact, fulfill the love of society, help one another grow, learn to love one another, redress past mistakes, so on and so forth. And if difficulties in relationship with others happen, accept them, learn from them, and try to make amends. Don't take that snapshot of that difficult time and keep reliving it in our system. Because every time you remember something, to your brain may be like living it. So you're kind of rehashing that situation, the heartbreak. People will hurt us as much as they might hurt us as a different message from the same book. Emmanuel also talks about how sometimes our lack of calmness, our irritation, has to do more with what others are doing, how they're living their lives. So the difficulties and trials in relationships, maybe I don't approve of what they're doing, I don't like the profession they had, so on and so forth. So we work ourselves up when we actually should be more mindful and allowing people to do what they're here to do as well, as much as we have this thing. It says, accept others as they are, continue to act in the exercise of good, and moving forward in building a better life in yourself. Emmanuel will also tell us that each and every one of us is in a different level of evolution. We all know this. Go to item 100 of the Spirit's book, you're going to see the hierarchy of spirits. Within a world of trials and expiations, transitioning, there is many different spiritual development, moral, intellectual development of the spirits. That includes my step is different from yours, and then infinite steps in between. So we can accept people as they are. Of course, we're not condoning negative behavior. We're not condoning that people are going to start hurting one another. We're just saying we accept that moment, and then we do what we can, which is to continue to do the good, continue to move forward, to build a better life. So think of yourself as a network, because you are in network, you are in connection. So if you think about your thoughts emanating from you, and those thoughts emanating calmness, now everybody around you is also emanating thoughts. And if you're a graphic designer, if you know how to draw and picture, you can make those images. If you read the Spirit's books and all these books, you can actually make pictures for us that can better represent what I'm trying to say. So if you think about 7.5 billion, almost 8 billion soon, of us with a B, plus our spiritual friends, look at the busy network that we're living. So when we are together, but we are different and unique, we have to accept one another as we are and help others to move forward in our development. It says, peace in us does not result from external circumstances, but from our tranquility of conscience in the duty accomplished. And it's necessary to note that the duty accomplished is the result of understanding. So when you do what you're here to do, another message earlier talked about engaging. He said, do not abandon your possibility to work and remain faithful to your own duties. So when we are aware of what we're here for, we look around and examine our tendencies, make a multimillionary plan to work on different things we see that are still shortcoming towards becoming the superior spirit. Then I go in the world and see, where do I live? What are my abilities? Who is around me? Who should I be helping? Then I will have a clear conscience, because I will align my actions to the laws of God, the divine laws in the Spirit's book, and I can say, am I acting in my family in accordance with the laws? Yes or no? And then if it's yes, it's a clear conscience. Then the peace will result. But we have to expiate things. We have to go through trials. We have to learn. Some of us are in missions, and we are here to love one another, most importantly, and to improve upon ourselves. And he says, understanding means to excuse the people around us or to forgive them and understand in the oppositions that they make to us and forget the events that are shown to be adverse, so that we remain faithful to the task that is indicated to you and I. So when we see someone doing something that is inappropriate, we take action. If they hurt us, then we have to forgive them for what they are. Because then you can move on to do what's your part, because that's what you can control in the world. We can be the agents of good in the universe, because there's more good than evil. We focus on our negativity, on our shortcomings, but really it is about the good in you. The book Living Spring, you learn that you have the genes, as in the DNA of divinity inside of you. Message 30, educate. And then when you put that seed in the soil and you feed patience, then you can patient in action is not sitting around just doing nothing, although meditating is very important for your mental health as well. It's really in action in the world, because you are reincarnated in a physical body that needs attention and a family that you need to build. Thus, if you were supposed to be doing something somewhere else, God would have already called you back to the spiritual home or put you in a different country, or a different city. So we need to understand that we are where we need to be. We need to improve the conditions where we are, always aiming to do better. He says, peace in us is born. He says, let us repeat, is born from understanding in service, and understanding in service is maintained by tolerance of others' mistakes, and even by the self-acceptance of our own mistakes, so that we know how to correct them without turmoil and waste of time. So reverse this. If you made a mistake, wouldn't you want people to understand and tolerate your mistakes? Provided that we work on improving from the mistakes, right? We're not going to expect people to forgive and forget and be tolerant, and we continue to err. But if you did something you didn't really understand, you didn't know better, didn't mean to hurt people, go after, make amends while we are still alive, and it's possible. And then we can be tolerant towards others. We can understand that they have their path. They have their difficulties as much as what we do as well. And last but not least, he says, selflessly, that's message 21, selflessly helping others will always be the basis for any improvement. Let us trust in God above all, without forgetting, however, that God also trusts each of us. So today, my wish for you is that you can go back and read the book Calmness, by Emmanuel, if you can. Some of us, most of us can't read, but I have given you short versions of each one of these messages in different, and I will continue to do because I'm only halfway through the book. So I hope that you gain an understanding of the importance of learning calmness and serenity from Emmanuel, so that we can together build a better place, a more calm and peaceful world where we can rest and take a breath and move on to a world of regeneration. All right, dear friends. Let me see. Should I remove? Thank you so much, guys, for the opportunity to expose these beautiful teachings of Emmanuel tonight.
Thank you, Sheyne. And what a wonderful study when we do feel that the world is in a turmoil. And there comes Emmanuel and reminds us that how we perceive things sometimes seems to be more chaotic than it really is. We breathe, maybe we talk less, we're more conscious of what we are letting out and letting in too, right? Listening and speaking. And with that, it brings calmness to us. There's a lot to that study for sure. And thank you for sharing that you know, people can go to Kardec Radio and get the studies that Sheyne has already done. They are saved. There's a playlist. Go find it, study from the beginning, but then also catch up every Thursday when she publishes new studies on this book. So I wanna leave you my thank you, for my enormous gratitude for bringing this study to us.
And very welcome. And as another message says, others, Emmanuel always reminds us on these messages, nobody can build things without others. So the reason we are here together is because I met Vanessa more than a decade ago. We studied together, and then we can spread the seeds of spiritism wherever we go. So it's funny because we feel today that we are in turmoil. There's also an attention thing. We are being fed the negative everywhere. We are choosing to consume negative content that then just perpetuates. But this book was published in 1978. So back then, Emmanuel already foresaw the needs that we would have today. And back in 78, we probably have different problems to deal with, that they needed calmness. And today we can use these teachings. And the beautiful thing about it, if you go to question 919 of the Spirits book, you see that the Spirits recommend self-awareness, self-knowledge, and reflection. So if we have the conscience that we are doing the best we can to the people we are around, without dreaming about being somewhere else, although we can dream about being somewhere else, but you're not just taking in, because in one hand you have the news that is negative, and the other hand we have the people selling only the good that happens in their lives. So there's a discrepancy there, because we want to, people are showing only the good, not necessarily what is negative in their lives, and leaves us feeling inadequate. And that also can feed into, so we have to be mindful. We have to teach others of the importance of speaking well, listening well, meditating, studying, taking care of the physical body, and consuming good things. So Saul is giving us a beautiful testimony here. She says, I learned to forgive people, those who hurt me in the past, but I still don't like to be around them. I am not an angel. None of us are, by the way, but I'm making efforts to be a better person. And that's all we can do, right? The good spiritist is the Christian spiritist is the one who is trying to make amends, to understand we are in a progress. And I always tell people here when you're studying, go to the question 100, reread. Chico Xavier always studied. Givaldo still studies. So we have to go back to the basics and read. And when you look at the categories of spirits, don't despair when you see that you still have the characteristics of the third order, the bottom order, if you will. But then make your multi-millenary plan to be of the good spirits, of things to learn. And there is many opportunities where we can redress the mistakes. You could solve, for example, do the intelligent sleep, ask the good spirits to give you spiritual treatment, psychological counseling with that person. You can pray for their spirit guides to help them. And we can even, what we're going to do soon, once I stop speaking peacefully, we will go to the passes, right? So it's an opportunity to receive that treatment and help not only yourself, but the discarnate beings that have also benefited from this presentation. Hi, dear John. That's why there's a weekly study, because every message is so dense that I could probably do over. If I did a do over, I would find other comments, and I appreciate that the opportunity. And I hope that our hope here, I think I speak for myself, but also all the contents of Kardec Radio are very nourishing. That's the motto, right? Nourishing your soul. So we hope we can share the good news. Those are spirits who bring us these messages. It's not of us. We're just speakers. We're just messengers. No, like sometimes parrots. We just read things, that the good spirits brought us. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sheyne, once again. And now, friends, let us move to the virtual passes. This is very important for you to, if you have electronics around you, let it be, and let us just listen to the meditation, visualize it, and let this treatment happen. All right. Dear Luciana will lead us into the passes.
So let us close our eyes and feeling the love embrace of the doctors and nurses surrounding us, preparing our spirit and physical body to receive the blessings, remedies, energies that we need in order to align ourselves with the flow of love. Let us visualize rays of light entering our perispirit area around this physical body, dissolving and illuminating, recycling all the energies that create knots, stains, and stagnation in our development as spirit beings. This light can permeate this field of energy and help us to much better absorb the healing treatments provided from the doctors from the beyond. And now we can feel the warmth in our physical body. And let's visualize this light, letting this layer of roughness dissolve and recycle into the universe. As we align ourselves with the healing energy, layers of lower vibrations are being dissolved. Imagine ourselves as a flower opening up, and as we receive this healing energy, the petals are opening and letting the sun letting the light, letting the healing energies permeate us. And we feel aligned with the flow of love. Our chakras are being aligned and harmonized with the energy of our Creator. We feel loved, and as we continue feeling this loving energy, now we can see that our home is also receiving these healing energies, healing everyone and everything in our homes in both dimensions of life. We see that it's protected and being cleansed by these healing energies. And as we can better align ourselves, we see our neighbor's home being illuminated and healed. We see our cities, our state, our country, and then the whole planet Earth being enveloped in this healing, loving energy. And as we visualize and continue feeling this loving vibration around the planet, in gratitude, we pray with our dear friend Daisy.
Let us then continue with our eyes closed. And let us raise our thoughts to the Creator of our lives. Dear loving God, thank you so much for this beautiful opportunity to be here together with you and your messengers. As we study how to calm ourselves at times that our planet and our lives are going through turmoil and change, we are ready, dear Father, to start anew, to march towards the world of regeneration, to regenerate ourselves because we're tired of our past tendencies. We are tired of committing the same mistakes. And we kindly ask you, Father, that we have the strength, the courage, and the faith to trust in your designs, to believe in the good, knowing that the good is all that is, knowing that everything shall pass and this shall also pass. We ask you that in this evening we can share these blessings with the many brothers and sisters who don't know yet of these teachings. We pray for those families who are going through deep moments of suffering through their physical bodies, spiritual obsession. We pray for the many families who are facing violence, who had to flee their homes to take refuge in other countries. And the children, we pray especially for the children. Those who have to start anew without a family, we pray for the children who lack the basic needs of life. We pray for the future generation of our planet who will take us to this world of progress that Jesus promised us. We are eternally grateful, Father, for knowing Spiritism in this reincarnation, knowing that there is no other reincarnation like this one. And we commit ourselves to choose better, to make wiser decisions, and to help those who need the most. Please bless this weekend and the week to come. And with your guidance and under your protection, we close this study session of tonight. And so be it. Dear friends, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you, Sheyne, for this beautiful presentation. And it was such a pleasure to have you back here. We're sure we'll see you at your programs at Kardec Radio and here in our Friday Inspirational Talk again soon. And thank you all our friends who joined us tonight. To remind you, if you are in the Washington, D.C. area on Sunday at 11 a.m., we're doing our meetings, presential meetings at the Spirit Society of Virginia, starting at 11 a.m. We are outside following all the protocols, so social distancing, masks, and you are invited to join us. We are doing short inspirational talks based on André Luiz's books, followed by the passes and the spiritually magnetized waters. So we look forward to seeing you on Sunday. We will soon be releasing a new campaign. If you want to join our donation drive, we'll be helping the refugee families that are arriving, especially here in the Northern Virginia area from Afghanistan, and you can join us in this campaign. So a big, big hug to everyone, and we'll see you soon. Have a great evening.